He served the United States with honor and distinction, and we'll have the opportunity eventually to learn what has transpired in the past years. But what's most important now is his health and well-being.
That just months ago from National Security Advisor Susan Rice praising U.S. Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl following his release from his Taliban captors after a controversial prisoner swap. And now with this week's news that Bergdahl will be facing desertion charges for abandoning his post back in 2009, the White House is offering up very little on this latest development except to say, quote, he's been charged and not convicted. But for the platoon mates of Bergdahl, those desertion charges come as vindication, many speaking out soon after Bergdahl's release, raising concerns that he abandoned his fellow soldiers and was not a hero. I recently spoke with platoon mate Robert Vaughn, who actually led some 50 missions to find Bergdahl in Afghanistan soon after reports that he'd gone missing. He says he's ready to see justice done.
It's vindicated a lot of us who have been saying all along that he deserted. I feel like the Army has made the correct decision, and it's also provided a lot of closure, I feel, for myself and a lot of the other guys who were in the 501 and who looked for Bergdahl.
And as I understand it, you did many different search missions in order to try to find him. Is that right?
That's correct.
How many in all?
I would certainly say over 50 missions. There was an intense period in the summer that the entire unit was out looking for him.
You spent a lot of time with Mr. Bergdahl prior to this?
I wouldn't say I spent a lot of time with him. Casual encounters in Afghanistan, we were in the same unit, so I'd met him, but I wouldn't say I spent a lot of time with him, no.
So there was no clue, at least from what you saw, that he would be leaning towards deserting the unit?
No, I mean, honestly, that seems like the actions of a mentally ill person.
At what point did you believe in your mind that this story wasn't adding up, that in your mind that you believed he was a deserter?
Within the first few days, there were rumors circulating pretty heavily that he had actually walked off of his own free will. And I think that was the information passed down from the unit itself, kind of trying to put the pieces together of the puzzle. And so pretty quickly, it appeared to the entire unit that he had gone of his own free will, knowing that we were going out and putting our lives on the line. And there was a lot of anger, and I think it persists to this day, certainly within a lot of the men.
Well, you talk about putting lives on the line. Some men actually died.
Absolutely, and that's something that the Pentagon is actually denying still, but I don't expect them to exactly admit to that. They're not the most forthcoming and truthful organization at times, but certainly, absolutely, men did die looking for Bo Bergdahl.
On a personal note, and for you and your colleagues out there in the unit, what was it like for you to know that one of your brothers in arms was actually a deserter, and what impact did it have on the folks that you fought with?
Well, I'd say that certainly it did lower the morale of the unit, knowing that, you know, previously we had been going out on missions that we all felt were aimed at winning the war, and suddenly the mission tempo changed, and we were out looking for one of our own that had really betrayed us, is what I think generally everyone felt. By just walking off. So I'd say it was a general feeling of betrayal and anger in the unit at the time.
I would like to get your reaction as to the reception he received from the White House, and the fact that the White House was saying we don't leave anyone behind, and the fact that they touted him as a hero.
It was actually really frustrating. I know they forced us to sign non-disclosure agreements while we were in Afghanistan, saying we wouldn't talk about this, and we actually lost guys, and they're still denying to this day that we did. And then they just recounted Bergdahl as a hero. So yeah, it was kind of pushed a lot of us over the line. I think it was a totally inappropriate statement. And at this point, when you have him facing charges of desertion and misbehavior in front of the enemy, obviously they mischaracterized his service. And I think an apology is owed, certainly.
An apology is owed to who?
I would say to the unit and to the families of the men who died looking for Bergdahl. I mean, certainly, I'd love to see them on the Rose Garden being thanked for their family's sacrifice.
Does it make you lose faith in your government?
Absolutely. And certainly, it was a feeling of betrayal with a non-disclosure agreement, and then them officially just trying to sweep this entire event under the rug just to clear some prisoners out of Guantanamo. It felt like, yeah, they kind of just discounted our service and the service of the men who died.
There are reports that up to 3 of those 5 are now back making contact with the terrorist networks out there.
That's not remotely surprising. I think that was just to be taken for granted that that would happen. And I mean, certainly I wouldn't expect them to stay in Qatar once this is all blown over. I'm sure they'll be back in Afghanistan and once again fighting our allies, which, you know, the Afghan government and Ashraf Ghani.
What do you come away with from this entire process?
I think that this is a move in the correct direction, and it's provided a lot of closure, and certainly, yeah, I would just like to see this trial go through seamlessly, hopefully, and find a guilty conviction, and I feel that it will bring a lot of closure to the families and to the unit in general, that, you know, we did the right thing, and not everyone did the right thing.